and far between for road teams in the ACC here in Chapel Hill. Virginia is a good case in point. The Cavaliers last beat Carolina here on February 3rd of 1981. That was the Sampson era. At guard on that team was Jeff Jones, who a decade later became the youngest head coach in ACC history. Tonight, he meets the legend of Blue Heaven, a man who 31 years ago was the youngest head coach in this league. Now he has the building named after him. Hello, everyone. I am Tim Brando. Game 2 of the Wednesday Jam session has a lot of credibility, given the fact that Virginia is coming off dismantling Duke. And the Blue Devils are tough at Cameron Indoor Stadium. As I turn to Dan Bonner, who's by my side, I think you'll agree, they have extra credibility to these Cavaliers because they love to push it now under Jeff Jones.
They have extra credibility, Tim. They've also got a lot of confidence, and in their confidence, they're led by their sophomore guard, Corey Alexander. Alexander typifies the new Virginia style. They like to run it up, take the early opportunity. They're also very effective defensively. This kind of athleticism is going to be very important for the Cavaliers tonight.
Shooting percentages are always talked about where North Carolina is concerned. Easy opportunities have a lot to do with that. And making the transformation from defense to offense, there's no one better than George Lynch.
Well, George Lynch is one of the guys for North Carolina that does a great job creating shots. One way that George creates the shots is on the offensive boards. No better offensive rebounder in this league. He's also going to become the leading steal maker in North Carolina history. A power forward who can do all those things is a very valuable asset to any team.
I think the tall Virginian will agree. This one sets the tempo in January.
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that.
All right, it's coming up. An outstanding matchup. Virginia, who must get outstanding play on the front court from Ted Jeffries, because number 3, Carolina, likes to go up top to Eric Montross. It's coming right up. Will need to play big for the Cavaliers for head coach Jeff Jones. 4-0 in the ACC, but he'd like to improve on that stat. 1-4 career versus North Carolina. North Carolina's lineup looks this way. Brian Reese, who is a real swing player for this team, he's averaging almost 11 per game. If he isn't on all cylinders, this team will have a great opportunity. And Dean Smith, always with more than a great opportunity when taking on the Cavaliers, as that stat will illustrate.
He's got that kind of a record against everybody, though, Tim. And there's a fella for the University of Virginia, Cornell Parker. You can see the ACC Player of the Week last week. He's a fella who's really stepped up his game, had a groin injury against Duke. We'll have to see how he can go.
With the loss of Bryant, Stitt, I think you'll agree, it's Parker that's made this team a 3-option team rather than a 1-option team from a season ago.
Man-to-man defense by Virginia. They're looking to defend the inside. There you go. That's what they want to do, is make Montross and Lynch throw it back outside.
Phelps running the show, and it's kicked. They'll get a fresh 45. When the ball is kicked, that happens.
Tim, North Carolina as a team shooting the ball very well. Derek Phelps, great defensive player at point guard, not known for his outside shot. They're going to play off Phelps and Rodel and Reese and make those guys beat him from the outside.
Typical Carolina half-court possession. Reese drives. Oh, the layup is an air ball. Controlled by Parker.
Look for Virginia to push the ball up the court.
Corey Alexander, the catalyst for this club. Burrow in the paint. Rejected by Montross. Quick outlet to Brian Reese.
Virginia doing a good job that time, getting back on defense.
There's the cutter. Reese finds Rodel for 3.
With their tremendous size inside and Virginia being a little bit smallish, Tim, the Cavaliers are not going to be able to guard everything. They have to give something, and if Rodel's going to make that shot, the Cavaliers' game plan very quickly goes in the dumper.
George Lynch with one of his patented steals. Forced to pick it up, though.
Carolina against the man-to-man defense, moving the ball, looking to get it inside. That's the first option.
Montross. inside the keyhole is normally his spot. Lynch gets the putback. Well, we've already seen an example of what you talked about at the top. A putback and a steal.
Got one steal and got one offensive rebound. Virginia would like Eric Montross to shoot from there. They got to get the rebound, however.
Burrow will drive. A nice leaner against the taller Montross. And the Cavaliers have stretched.
North Carolina looking for a walk. Montross in the North Carolina man-to-man is matched up against Junior Burrow. Montross really does a great job working inside for position. He and Lynch constantly on the move in there. Burrow playing way off Lynch. You see Burrow's looking to defend the inside pass.
Rodel not really a threat off the dribble. That man is. Reese. Too strong. It'll be controlled by Lynch.
That size for North Carolina does a lot of things. You scrap and you battle so hard, you knock the ball away from your own teammate, and up the Tar Heels come with it. 45-second shot clock violation, Tim. That shot never hit the rim. The clock never reset.
And I don't think that Carolina was aware of it. Dean Smith certainly was.
Well, coaches, that they're in the business to be aware of everything.
Pat Sullivan has come into the game for the first time, number 3 in blue. Phelps picks up the foul.
There's George Lynch. What a player he has become. He's averaging double figures in rebounding, but here's some place where he's very, very impressive. You can see it's not going to be very long before he supplants Rick Fox as the all-time North Carolina leader. That's from a power forward. That's amazing.
Yeah, he already has 3 rebounds, too. We're not even 3.5 minutes deep into this game. And a runner by Jason Wilford.
Tim, Virginia beat the trap. If you beat the trap, you're going to get open jump shots. You've got to knock them down, and Wilford did that time. Jeffries really battling inside against Montross.
There's the help defense. It'll be controlled in North Carolina underneath.
Montross is so big inside, Tim. He catches the basketball. He's looking to score, but he's also trying to turn. Now watch Virginia prevent him from turning. Look where Parker goes, so Montross can't turn and look for either the shot or the pass. That's great defense.
Donald Williams comes into the game for Rodel. He'll log as many or more minutes than Hendrick before the night is done, and he offers a better perimeter game for the Tar Heel team this year. He'll pump in a hurry off the front iron.
Virginia's defensive stopper, Cornell Parker, matched up. At that time, Parker could not get through the double screen.
Jeffries with a bad idea. Sullivan takes it away for North Carolina.
Aren't going to throw that cross-court pass. It's through the North Carolina defense very often. Burrow matched up inside against George Lynch. Big key for Virginia. Pretty thin along the front line is how this game is going to be called.
Burrow gambled but lost. Lynch can't find it. Parker clears it for Virginia.
Maybe it'll be called pretty loose if that plays the indication.
Parker piercing the double team.
That's an offensive foul. It's called an offensive foul felt for Donald Williams. Excellent job to get back and draw the charge.
Jeff Jones trying to get that elusive double. Beat Duke and beat Carolina on the road.
2-on-2 dancing, and I'm the mayor.
They're letting him play a physical game here as well, John Saunders. We welcome you back to a sold-out Smith Center in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Tar Heels with a 1-point lead. Williams is in the game along with Sullivan off the Carolina bench. Also Salvadori, Kevin Salvadori, the junior from Pittsburgh, PA.
Jerry Barnes in the ballgame for Virginia. Jeffries now going to try his hand matched up against George Lynch.
Jeffries finally runs it down. Fans thought he may have been in the cylinder when he cleared that one out.
Virginia did a tremendous job on Sunday on the backboards against the Duke Blue Devils, and they're doing that again here today.
That's a shot that Jeffries will have. He claims it's always been in his arsenal, but they've just tapped into it.
The Virginia coaching staff is comfortable with Jeffries shooting that 15-foot shot.
Sullivan for 3. Not bad for a player from the suburbs playing in the big city league. On the other end, Carolina takes it away.
You take that quick transition shot and you don't get it, then North Carolina is able to get out in transition too.
Lynch. Good work by Phelps. That's the tie ball, says Dick Paparo. The arrow to Virginia. Alexander was in on that one.
Alexander did not do a good job blocking Phelps off the backboard. Everybody inside's working so hard. Phelps slips in there and gets the rebound. It's Lynch going out of the ball game, so now North Carolina has Salvador and Montross in the game at the same time. And Virginia's big guy Jeffrey is out, but Parker walks with the basketball. So you've got a very tall lineup for North Carolina. Jeff Jones's crew a little bit smaller.
4 turnovers for the Cavaliers, who are shooting well, just not having an opportunity to launch many shots. There you see it. They've only launched half as many, not quite half as many, as North Carolina.
North Carolina has done a nice job on the offensive board and have created those 4 turnovers. They've had more opportunity.
Tar Heels by 2. 6 minutes gone in the opening half. Williams on the drive, counted on a foul.
And that's 2 fouls against Cornell Parker, Tim.
Second personal foul on Cornell Parker. It's the second team foul.
People talk an awful lot about Donald Williams and his ability to shoot the 3-point shot, but he's also very, very strong with the basketball. That was a tremendously strong move into the lane. The help just didn't get there in time. But when you're trying to defend inside against Montross and Salvadori, you're not going to get much help.
So Parker goes to the bench. Virginia goes small, but they do perhaps have a better offensive team when Doug Smith is forced into the game. And he's in the backcourt now along with Corey Alexander.
North Carolina very, very aggressive in the man-to-man defense. Trying to set the trap.
They get it done, don't they? Ball was out of bounds, last touch by Sullivan, so Virginia will hold on. Ted Jeffries comes back in.
Now, when you're dribbling the ball against North Carolina, watch the guys closing in on him with the trap. He doesn't have any place to throw the ball, so he's trying to pick up his dribble. That's a mistake you don't want to make, picking up your dribble with your back to the court and 2 big guys right on you.
Bob Donato wanted some help and got it from Dick Paparo, much to the chagrin of the Carolina faithful.
Jeff Jones is trying to give him some help.
Dean Smith doesn't like it. Pearl, air ball, an ugly shot indeed, and he's been struggling all season long from that spot. Rodel, nice dump to Salvadori. Rodel with an excellent pass.
Jeff Jones has to be concerned about the defensive intensity with which the North Carolina Tar Heels are playing against his Virginia Cavaliers. You can do all the rebounding you want, play all the defense you want, but unless you can score, you're going to get out of one of these games quickly.
Smith for 3. There were those that felt it could be a blowout of Virginia, and if it happened, it would happen early. They may be teetering with that problem right now.
Got to get a bucket soon.
Salvadori.
That's a tough shot, Tim. I think Virginia's really got to get themselves a basket.
Alexander. Montross clears. Salvadori again. There's the help.
That's great defense to get the ball, get it kicked back outside.
Rodel drives. Oh, the iron time to Carolina. A 12-0 run. Timeout, UVA.
If I want to keep playing baseball, I'm going to have to keep working. There's no off-season anymore. And when I get sore, I take Advil. To last, you stick with what works.
Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
Guess what motor oil gives you unbeatable wear protection? Give him a clue, Bert. Quaker State. What motor oil is unsurpassed in preventing sludge buildup?
Quaker State.
Now, guess what motor oil Bert uses?
Quaker State is one tough motor oil.
Good guess.
A small touch, a certain look. It's the little things that are worth the most. Which is why every Delta faucet gives you more than you'd ever expect for the money. Giving you the money for those things you can't even put a value on. Delta, the way water is brought to life.
Recently, 1 million cases of Diet Pepsi were sent free to loyal Diet Coke drinkers.
I wonder if some of them are singing a different tune now. It's got a hold on me, right in the soul of me. I'm a changed man. This is the right one, baby. Uh-huh.
It makes you wonder, what would happen if everyone tried Diet Pepsi?
No comment, baby. No doubt about it. Only one taste is the right one. Makes me feel like singing. You got the right one, baby!
North Carolina does a great job moving the basketball, and one thing that you have to be aware of when you're back on defense, this area right here is where the defensive team first goes. The Virginia players get in their defensive position on the fast break, but watch what happens on the end of this play. They don't find Salvadori in time. Kevin Salvadori doing a great job running the court. North Carolina doing a great job moving the ball. Virginia's got to get back on defense and get ready to play.
Since the first television timeout, the Cavaliers 0 for 5 from the floor. Carolina 5 of 8.
Here comes the trap.
Smith had to knock it away. It's out of bounds to North Carolina.
Ted Jeffries was the outlet man for that particular pass, but Jeffries stood there, let the ball come to him. If you're in the middle, you got to step to the ball. Brian Reese knocked it away.
11-point lead for North Carolina. Oh, great pass. Williford gets away with one. No, he doesn't. He does pick up the foul. Phelps really finding the cutter nicely.
First personal foul on Jason Williford is the third team foul for the Cavaliers.
There you see the Carolina firepower. They can beat you in a variety of ways.
They can beat you in a variety of ways, and what that statistic means right there is that not only are they difficult to defend, but it also means that if you're going to beat this team, you're going to have to score some points, and that's been Virginia's problem in the last few minutes. They haven't been able to get a good look at the basket due to some tremendous defensive pressure by North Carolina.
Montross and Lynch keeping it alive. Jeffries just outnumbered down there. Last touch by Reese.
Montross utilizing that great size and strength in there very well. He kept it alive, then Lynch kept it alive, and finally, Virginia gets it as it goes out of bounds.
Burrow beats Montross down the floor. That's been his problem, speed. If Montross has an Achilles, it's in the open floor where he doesn't get back quickly enough.
That's really the new Virginia right there, Tim. Get the ball up the court and get it quickly. When people talk about defensive pressure, they're talking about a team that has their defense set. Everybody's defense is about the same in transition, and Virginia beat the North Carolina defense down the court that time.
Alexander and Parker now back in the game for Virginia.
Lynch is just doing a great job trying to get position inside. Parker with those 2 fouls has to play.
Phelps threw that one up, and the foul against Lynch over the back.
Phelps with that little herky-jerky dribble down the lane drew Junior Burrow, and George Lynch went right to the board. Nobody blocked him out. It was only the leaping ability of Corey Alexander that drew that foul.
Really going to be interesting to see the remainder of this half, how composed this Virginia team is. After that win against Duke, they were noticeably businesslike afterwards. Some people thought there would be a euphoric mood in the locker room. There wasn't. Burrow. Oh, great move. Just doesn't convert. Parker will follow.
Montross is going to go outside and try to guard Junior Burrow facing the basket. Burrow has the advantage.
That's an example of Carolina trying to go up top. That time, Virginia defended well.
North Carolina's going to have some turnovers like that during the game, Tim. They want to push, push, push.
Alexander finds Burrow. Montross, well, you better give him a pump fake or it's in your face.
Montross moved his feet very well that time. You're not going to do very much taking one dribble and going up against Montross. He's going to be big enough to get it.
Lynch. Lynch has 4. Carolina's lead is 10, 20 to 10.
Jeffries trying to get his shoe tied. He might get a turnover. Nice job by Alexander to keep his dribble alive.
As he gets into the flow, Virginia will begin to have a tempo. Dick Paparo does spot the foul against Phelps, his second.
Derek Phelps is gaining a reputation as a very good on-the-ball defender. He plays pretty well off the ball, too, but the pressure he can exert on the dribbler is extreme. And Corey Alexander is going to have to deal with that. Donald Williams back in the game now.
And Rodel sits down. Bill Guthridge by his side, 26 years an assistant under Dean Smith, has numerous opportunities to become a head coach. It's interesting, he keeps the keys to the locker room. He has to go unlocked before halftime. Alexander getting his first points of the game now at the strike.
North Carolina has done a pretty good job, Tim. They've shown some pretty good pressure man-to-man. They've played off a little bit into man-to-man. They've used those traps, and they've trapped full court and half court. They give you an awful lot of defensive looks. They sort of try. When they find something that works, they stay with it, and then when you adjust to it, they can just make a subtle change.
Phelps.
Oh, Jeffries pushed, and he got called for it. And that's an area of concern for the University of Virginia. Montross battling inside. I'm looking straight across the court. I see Montross's dad gets up and applauds this particular call. But there's Jeffries is in front. Look at what Montross does to get position. When you're behind Montross, you have to do something. Jeffries was hoping that Duke Edsall wouldn't see that. But that's a great job by Montross to lock his man in.
Phelps. Not there. Yuri Barnes will outlet to Corey Alexander. Carolina defense responds, and then Alexander with a solo on the baseline.
Williams sort of relaxed. He thought Alexander was going to take the ball back out. Nice job to attack. Virginia back to within 6, Tim.
They've responded by playing better on the defensive end. Williams rejected by Barnes.
Virginia doing a great job with their inside defense.
Reese for 3.
The defense ends, though, when you get the ball. Montross gets it back. Great rebound. Now what?
3-second violation. Dick Paparo spots it.
But he spots it. I'm sure Jeff Jones is over there helping him. He's standing right in front of Jeff Jones.
It's not as if Eric is in the lane too long, you're going to miss it. Here comes Burrow back into the game.
Talk about Montross being very active. A big guy who just stands in there is pretty easy to guard. But look at Montross. Puts the body on Barnes. Now they make him throw it back out. Here he comes again. Just pushes Barnes to the basket. Gets the big rebound. Montross moving in there. Works very, very hard.
Out rebounding Virginia by a bundle. And the great thing about Eric Montross is his hands. They're soft and strong.
I think most people will tell you the great thing about Eric Montross is that he's 7 feet tall.
Parker not there. Barnes on the offensive glass. A rare putback for the Wahoo.
Virginia, Tim, they're back to within 4. What a great job by Virginia to recover from that Carolina spurt. Maybe this team is for real, huh?
Virginia on a 10-2 run of their own.
Boy, Barnes really battling inside against Montross. Ooh, Montross just flattened Junior Burrow, and he got caught. Now, Burrow about 6'8". He's right at elbow level with Montross, so that's hardly an intentional foul.
You got to be tough in every league, but particularly right here.
You need your brakes fixed, but your car dealer couldn't take you today?
What's stopping you? Midas can fix your brakes right the same day you bring in your car. You need brakes, but you're worried about cost? What's stopping you? Right now, get 25% off Midas quality brake shoes or pads. You need brakes? What's stopping you? 25% off Midas brake shoes or pads, guaranteed for as long as you own your car. Your brakes can't wait. Midas today.
San Francisco's famous for three things: cable cars, the Golden Gate Bridge, and that delicious sourdough bread. The secret to Hardee's new Frisco Burger.
Pick up a delicious Frisco Burger, fries, and a 20-ounce drink at Hardee's today for only $4, tax included.
If you want the best of San Francisco, get a Frisco Burger at Hardee's. You want the bridge? I'll send you a postcard.
Are you ready for some real food? Hardee's.
The puck drops here. National Hockey Night on ESPN. The NHL is back where it belongs on ESPN with all the super scoring, the board-crunching excitement, and every minute of the Stanley Cup Finals. Watch out for National Hockey Night on ESPN.
North Carolina leading Virginia 20-16, but the Cavalier defense forcing North Carolina to clear out legally and maybe illegally.
Virginia plays a very physical defensive style characterized by what Yuri Barnes is doing there. Collision with George Lynch. Lynch asking for the foul, and now the big guy, Eric Montross, is going to come down and get set up. Lynch comes across. Now watch Junior Burrow as Montross comes across the lane toward the basketball. Burrow's going to double down, and Montross drops him. No room for the faint-hearted in there.
Montross will take a seat, and Yuri Barnes will hang around for a while. Virginia is outmanned along the blocks, but they're getting it done defensively in the last 2:20. They've outscored Carolina by 8.
Here come the traps, and that's a double dribble. Good idea by Corey Alexander to try to step through. Jeff Jones is asking if possibly a defender didn't knock the ball out of Alexander's hand. Yuri Barnes playing a lot of minutes in this first half, Tim, and he's done a nice job.
Early foul difficulty pressed him in there, and he has responded.
Virginia continues to play soft on the perimeter. Don't want to play soft on that guy.
There are some Carolina players along the perimeter that they don't worry about off the dribble. Lynch driving the baseline, uses the glass.
North Carolina, all their players do a great job catching the ball, facing the basket, giving that pump fake, and then heading for the hoop.
Carolina by 6. Just over 7 minutes to play, opening half. Tim Brando, Dan Bonner, happy to have you with us. Burrow. Donald Williams looks to push it. 3-on-2. Numbers for Carolina. No help on the secondary break. Salvadori throws up an air ball. Sullivan finds Lynch.
Great passing.
Salvadori again off the pass from Lynch.
Got to be strong in there. That time George Lynch just strips the ball away from Junior Burrow. You got to clamp that thing and hold tight.
Nice pass inside Parker. Goes down a bit too far. Salvadori clears for the Tar Heels.
North Carolina really interested in getting it out and going.
Brodel, that's what you don't want. Stand still. He is outstanding. You have to make him put it on the floor.
And just like that, it's back to an 11-point lead. Boy, they can score quicker.
27-16.
That's just a wild shot.
Kept it alive, though. Parker loses it to Salvadori again. Well, he's been everywhere. 3-on-2 again. Williams. Sullivan on the offensive glass. Barnes picks up the foul.
Virginia very slow getting back on defense that time, Tim. That shot was missed. And North Carolina had 3 white shirts around the offensive backboard before Virginia got anybody back. If If you miss your offensive opportunities, that gives North Carolina a chance to run. Look at Sullivan just move everybody out. There's 3 North Carolina players around the ball. Virginia very slow reacting, and as a result, they get the foul.
Sullivan, one of the few players on this Tar Heel team that would be characterized as an overachiever. Just works hard when he comes into the game. There he is for 3. That was an underachieving 3-point chance.
Well, it was actually overachieving. It went over the basket. The best way to stop this North Carolina transition game, Tim, is to score. And that's been Virginia's problem. They've got to get the ball to go in the basket, or North Carolina runs like crazy.
Williford. Burrow. Oh, nice dish back to Williford, who stayed with it. The sophomore from Richmond, Virginia, brings the Cavaliers to within 9.
That's a nice pass by Burrow, who is not noted for his passing ability.
Rodel again standing still, draining it. No one back there to cover him. He has 11 in the game.
Cornell Parker didn't get down fast enough on Montross. Montross was able to turn and see the open man. Montross does a great job using his size to create some space for those passes.
Smith has to make that shot. And it's there for him, and he does bring that aspect to their game. They have been a poor shooting team by unbeaten standards. I think you'd agree.
I don't think there's any question about it. And these teams playing with such intensity, Virginia's dragging a little bit. When the North Carolina guys start to drag, they give that sign and they get a sub in the game.
Smith with a nice play that time, reaching in, forcing the turnover. George Lynch will come back into the game for North Carolina. And Junior Burrow will sit down for the Cavaliers. Henrik Rodel, who has been a star offensively for this team. You got to give up something, and to this point, Virginia's been willing to give Henrik that shot, and he's buried it.
I think a perfect example of what kind of game this is Rodel sitting on the bench. He's really sucking air. Both of these teams playing very, very intensely.
Alexander out there, and Montross pulls it down. 5 rebounds for Montross.
Carolina keeps those fresh legs coming in the game, Tim.
Dante Calabria in the game for the first time for North Carolina, number 24 in white.
North Carolina doesn't mind this intense pace. Boy, Jeffries and Montross really going after it inside.
Shot clock is down to 12, one of the longer possessions for North Carolina, outside of the violation they had early in the game. That's a charge, player control foul, and Williford was in position to draw it. 3:06 remaining. Virginia trying to hang in against the Tar Heels.
State Farm presents the rules of the game.
Inbounding the ball from out of bounds can cause problems. In this play, the official calls a violation on the player attempting a throw-in from out of bounds. Why?
I'm State Farm agent Jeff Libby. One of the most gratifying parts of my job is helping young parents, people who are just beginning to understand what life insurance is all about. Young couples don't need a sales talk. They just need to talk to someone who understands them and their life insurance needs. Now, I know what that promise of security means, and I don't believe there's a better promise a parent can make.
State Farm sells life insurance.
The official correctly calls a violation on the player making the throw-in. By rule, a player cannot consume more than 5 seconds from the start of the throw-in until the ball is released.
Rules of the Game has been brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Why do I choose Alka-Seltzer Plus over the leading cold pill?
They only relieve congestion, but Alka-Seltzer Plus is so tough it relieves sore throats, sneezing, headaches, even body aches.
That's why I choose Alka-Seltzer Plus.
Alka-Seltzer Plus. It's tough medicine.
Domino's presents something for nothing. Now you get free Domino's Twisty Bread and our free salad when you order any large pizza with 1 or more toppings.
Something for nothing. Really something when you call Domino's.
We showed you Chris Webber getting bumped in the nose that he broke earlier this week. Well, I guess he's okay because he takes the pass and then jams this one down, still wearing the face mask. Michigan leads by 9. Tim and Dan.
All right, John, we look forward to you and Jim coming up at halftime. 3:06 remaining, and coming up tomorrow, we'll stay on Tobacco Road for NC State. They're trying to slow the tempo because of some injury problems. Grant Hill will try to push it. The #2 Devils trying to rebound from their loss to the Cavaliers. Anthony Hardaway, 5th in the nation in scoring, on display in Columbia against Missouri. And then San Diego State against BYU. Gary Trout leads BYU in scoring and shooting, 54% from the floor. All of that coming up tomorrow night on ESPN.
Tim, this final 3 minutes of the first half, I think, is going to be a very key stretch for the Virginia Cavaliers. They're trying to battle back in this basketball game. They've got to get some good looks at the basket and get them to go down. Look at that aggressive defense.
This is a mismatch. Alexander trying to get past Calabria.
That's nice defense by North Carolina. Very aggressive in the man-to-man. Now the double team, and now they find the open man.
Williford didn't want that shot. Smith will take it and rattle it home. 30-23 our score.
Very good offensive series for the University of Virginia. Virginia stays in the man-to-man defense, and their defense is a little bit more centered on stopping the inside pass. Not quite the pressure on the basketball.
Lynch. Good recognition by Risto. Player control foul, and again Jeffries hits the deck. Coming up at halftime, it's the Delta Faucet halftime report. John Saunders, Jim Valvano with scores and highlights. Jimmy's inauguration special. I can't wait to see that.
Who's he inaugurating?
Yeah, and it's going to be at least a 4-term inauguration. Saunders told me about his contract.
Can't pick the ball up over there and move your pivot foot.
How many times have we seen North Carolina pinch and force the turnover? That's 9 times UVA's turned it over.
Now, that's not really Jason Williford's fault on that turnover. Corey Alexander threw him the ball in a very, very difficult situation, and he was just never able to recover.
There you see it. Virginia with 9, but those that they've given up have been turned into points. Salvadori not there.
Virginia really doing a great job pressuring that inside shot. Trying to dive down on the ball.
Alexander. Not falling for him. Jeffries loses it. Alexander gets the hot potato.
Oh, that's a tough pass.
They skip passes just don't work against that pressure.
North Carolina, very difficult to throw the ball all the way across the court like that unless there's a trap situation where the defense is rotating away from that particular pass.
Smith will trigger it in.
Again, Virginia with another opportunity, and that's where they want to go. Montross out of the game, and so Burrow finally able to get that shot off inside.
Junior has 6 in the game, and it's a 5-point Carolina lead, under a minute left. Pretty good last couple of minutes for Virginia, cutting into that 9-point lead since the timeout.
Got to score, Tim, because when you score, that makes North Carolina not the dangerous transition team. Defense by Virginia, trying to cut off that penetration inside. Now Duke Edsall is stopping the clock because they're stopping the game because there's 41 seconds left on the shot clock. And Jeff wants to know what happened. It just reset back to 45. We started again.
25 seconds left on the game clock, and the shot clock now showing 45.
North Carolina got the ball back with more than a minute left in the first half, and now there's 25 seconds left in the first half, so that's an interesting math on 41 seconds. It's okay, now we're going to set it back at 45.
The building may be named after Dean Smith, but I don't know that he would get that much time.
Dean Smith can get anything he wants in this building.
15 seconds, yeah,
right.
On the clock.
Jeff Jones thinks that that's 15 too many.
Henrik Rodel has really been the story offensively for North Carolina. 11 points. He's hit 3 of their 4 3-pointers so far. And it's a 5-point lead, and Rodel will trigger it in.
Perfect example of the North Carolina team. A lot of guys who can play, plenty of depth.
There's the dump down. See, Virginia doesn't mind forcing the turnaround hook, but if he nails it, the results are still the same. Alexander for 3. Would have counted had it gone. North Carolina's lead is 7. Jeff Jones trying to hang around. Ranked number 7 and trying to move up against North Carolina. Let's get back to the studio. Here's John Saunders.
All right, Tim, thanks a lot. 7-point lead, holding Virginia to just 25 points in the first half. Virginia has the win over Duke. They have yet to lose this year. When we come back, a look at scores and highlights, including some from the Big Ten, and Jim Valvano will take a look at the first half. That and more as we continue on the Wednesday Jam session.
ESPN's NCAA basketball is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you, friends know when to say when. And by Domino's, where you always get great pizza plus something for nothing.
We were trying to solve the mystery of Beechwood aging. Beechwood aging isn't some huge, mysterious secret. It's a nearly forgotten example of the brewmaster's art. So expensive, so time-consuming that Bud's the only brewer that still does it.
If it's not Beechwood aged, it's just not right.
Okay, so how do you make beer if it's not Beechwood aged?
Yeah.
Some things are better left unknown.
With this blindfold on, tell me what you smell.
I can't smell anything. Did you put it up there yet? It's stuffed up so far into my nose, I just can't blow it out. I just want to be able to breathe.
Would you try Dristan nasal spray? With this blindfold on again, tell me what you smell now.
I can smell an orange, but that wasn't there that last time.
What do you feel now?
I can breathe all the way up through my nose. It cleared me up. Boom.
Dristan nasal sprays, available in 12-hour and regular formulas.
A small touch, a certain look. It's the little things that are worth the most. Which is why every Delta faucet gives you more than you'd ever expect for the money. Giving you the money for those things you can't even put a value on. Delta, the way water is brought to life.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Delta Faucet Halftime Report. We're at halftime in the ACC, and North Carolina has the lead over undefeated Virginia. Let's take a look at some scores and highlights. We'll start with number 5, Michigan, the only team who's beaten North Carolina this year, and that was on a last-second shot. Chris Webber broke his nose in practice. He has the protection. Webber blows the dunk on the lob here. Maybe getting in his eyes is the match. Steve Fisher sits down. Here's how you do it. Big on defense with the block of Dana Jackson, rejecting Vashon.
Out to cover the perimeter. Burrow really putting the body on Montross. Always 4 guys in there against Eric Montross. Look here again. You've got 1, 2, 3, and trust me, this foot right here is a Virginia foot. So you've got 4 guys back in the lane, everybody banging against Montross, and now as the shot goes up, Burrow gets the block. You've got 5 Virginia players on the board right there. Look at right there. That's the entire Virginia team going after the basketball. That's what they've done well. What do you give up? Look at this sequence right here. Here's Henrik Rodel, and here's Eric Montross. Now look at the Virginia guys on this side of the court. 1, 2, 3. So when the ball comes over to Rodel, and he looks to get it inside of Montross, there's nobody to help. The ball goes in. It's got to be Parker. Look at him. He comes down. He's got to get right here against Eric Montross, because if not, Montross can turn and make the easy pass. So you cover the inside, you give up something. This is what Virginia's given up. All their guys are in the lane, and Rodel's all alone for the jump shot. So Virginia, I think, has done what they wanted to do. but they haven't scored very well.
And the point guard on the German national team is 3 for 4 for North Carolina as a team from three-point range. And you see the rebounding story with Carolina, but only 10 points from UNC coming in the paint.
Well, the key there is North Carolina with 9 offensive rebounds. Those are a lot of extra opportunities. Montross, who scored in double figures in every game, saved 1 this year. Only 2 points at halftime. Virginia, however, has to get it done on the offensive end. You're not going to beat North Carolina shooting 42% from the field.
Lynch's point came early in the first half. Montross, a victim of his own stature that time. He got to a place no one else could. George Lynch was a factor, 4 of his 6 coming very early, but then really not a factor the last 10 minutes of the first half.
Virginia did a nice job keeping him off the board. Well, on Virginia's defensive board, North Carolina's offensive board. But the key for Virginia is they just haven't been able to get in very much of an offensive rhythm against this defense.
Just as Jim Valvano said at halftime, you know it's coming, but you can't stop it. Jeffries picks up the foul. That was a must, his second.
Tim, on that particular occasion, Cornell Parker just didn't get any help from his Virginia teammates. The trap came and it got set. Cornell Parker doesn't get any help. He throws the ball. There's Parker. That's the only place he can throw the ball, and Reese is quick enough to get over there. And now watch North Carolina come down the court. You turn the ball over, they're going to turn it into a transition opportunity very quickly.
Ryan Reese, the junior from the Bronx, New York, St. Nicholas of Tolentine. Just beginning to take advantage of his offensive capability. Just this season.
North Carolina showing full court defense. Don't know when the trap's coming, but you know it is. And there's Lynch stepping out. Jeffries is open.
Off the front of the rim. Again, Phelps looks to push. Williford from the backside knocks it away. Burrow is free.
Oh, and he missed the layup.
Credit Rodel getting back there. He was aware of him, and that caused him to miss the chippy. That's a 3 for Brian Reese. A 5-point swing. The 2 they could have had off the turnover, and the 3 they relinquish, and Carolina leads by a dozen.
You run out against these guys, you better convert.
Burrow.
That was a great job by Alexander to step through the double team.
8 points for Junior Burrow. Phelps rejected by Burrow. Well, that's a stuff.
Yes, it is.
Alexander, great bounce pass to Parker.
And that's what Virginia can do. They can run up the court, and when that vaunted Carolina defense can't get set, Virginia can get some easy opportunities.
Don't doubt the confidence in the open floor of Corey Alexander. He will burn you.
He was limited to 4 points in the first half.
Montross over the top and down the bucket.
And Jeffries got smacked in the mouth.
4 points for Aaron.
Montross had 4 guys around him, but if he's going to catch the ball that close to the basket, you're not moving him out of there. He just collected himself, powered up, and Jeffries not only got himself scored on, got popped in the face along with it.
As you might expect, it's Reed Smith that goes to his bench. First in the second half, Pat Sullivan, who played well in a complimentary role in the first half, number 3 and wide in the game. Burrow.
That's a tough shot. You got to give that one up. There's 3 guys on you.
Carolina by 10. Burrow reaching around, picks up the foul against Rodel. That's the first foul on Junior Burrow.
Even though the Virginia coaching staff is telling their players, hey, don't get out there that quickly. Rodel hits 3 3-pointers in the first half, and so now the players think, well, I got to get out on him. But watch Rodel. He'll catch it, pump fake, looks to go around. That's the first thing. He's not looking to take that 3-point shot unless he's all alone.
There over the top again is Lynch. Pearl picks up 2 in less than 30 seconds.
North Carolina will get at least one of those every single game. The pick out high for George Lynch. He slashes to the basket. North Carolina's going to go over top. George Lynch is going to make the pass, and now watch Sullivan come with the pick right there. and Lynch, with that tremendous leaping ability, goes up and gets the basketball. But you cannot forget about George Lynch when he throws the ball over to the side. It looks like he's just wandering down the lane, but that pick by Sullivan gets him loose.
There are a number of players at North Carolina that, because of the system, many will tell you, have not really developed their individual talents until they've made it to the next level. George Lynch's game really never expanding beyond the paint, but boy, do you know he's got the talent to go beyond the paint.
Well, you would certainly think so. He's a very bright kid.
Alexander for three.
That's a big, big basket. North Carolina's got all that size and power inside. Maybe the equalizer for Virginia is from outside the three-point range.
North Carolina by 8. Led by 7 at the intermission.
Boy, Montross set a mean pick in there.
Just ask Corey Alexander. He ran right into it.
Jeffries doing a nice job battling inside.
Just not much you can do when the entry pass is that high and his hands are that good.
Jeffries had him down under the basket, but he let Montross get in position where Montross could step back. Once he gets down that far under, you got to keep him there. Of course, that's much easier said than done. He's a big man.
Jeffries brings him out high. Nice recovery by Phelps.
Tremendous defense by North Carolina. Good pressure on the ball, but as Jeffries penetrates by, the help comes, and then Phelps rotates down in the lane and slaps the ball away. Very impressed with the defensive effort of North Carolina.
His movement offensively, and I'm talking about Jeffries, you see Salvador coming in for Montross. His ability to become a double-figure scorer, though, as much as anything, has helped this Virginia team to be the surprise story of the ACC to this point this year.
Williford just threw that one away. North Carolina just keeps the ball moving. Tough for the defense to ever really get set because they just keep it moving. Nice steal.
Boy, Parker got right in the way. Duke Edsel says it still belongs to North Carolina. College football continues on ESPN. The East-West Shrine Classic. It's showtime. One more time from Palo Alto. Miami quarterback Gino Torretta will be on display, the Heisman Trophy winner, Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Carolina by 10. First 4 minutes of half number 2. Good touch pass to Salvadori. Kept alive to Sullivan. Salvadori again, yes! Ho, ho, ho.
Tim, when you got all those big guys inside, you have to block out, and if you don't block out the first time and it becomes a volleyball game up there, then the big guys have the advantage. Salvadori kept it alive the first time, gets it back the second time, gets it up to the basket. Good strength for a guy who next to Montross looks awfully thin.
The son of Al Salvadori, former star at South Carolina under Frank McGuire, one of the reasons Dean Smith took a chance on him. In the open court, Alexander, he was hacked. Jeff Jones is upset, has a right to be.
And he better be careful or he's going to get a technical foul. And that's the last thing he needs at this point in the ballgame.
That would have been, though, a three-point opportunity at the strike.
That's a walk.
Yeah. Jones has every right to be angry, though. No question Alexander was hacked with a three-point chance. You'll take him any way you can get him on the road.
After being limited to just 2 points in the first half, the North Carolina power game in the person of Eric Montross has been very evident. Watch what great position he gets and just powers it up to the basket against the Virginia defense. Here we'll get it to take another look at it. Virginia with a lot of guys around. This is a different play now as they get the ball in. The same result, though, powerfully into the basket despite the good pressure from Virginia.
There have been times when he's just been ultra dominant this year. Not yet, not tonight. Yuri Barnes is checking him now. Down in the paint area, number 24 for the Cavaliers.
And again, with Jeffries out of the game, Virginia a little small. And both Salvadori and Montross are in the game, and Montross walked that time.
It's a great example, though, of the help side defense as Junior Burrow came in there.
Dean Smith doesn't like that call in particular. Here's Montross powering, and there he just jumps with that little jump before he went up. That's a pretty good call. A little physical in there.
Doug Smith and Corey Alexander both in the game. Smith, the perimeter jump shooter, and there's an example of it. 44-35. That was a three-pointer.
Smith with 8.
Williams posts up on Smith, creates the opening for Sullivan. Salvadori again.
What a game Salvadori's having. He's now got 10 points. Just one too many 7-footers in there. It's 3 rebounds.
Alexander.
That's a tough shot.
Montross again gets caught. Either he or Salvadori, they were both in position to pick it up. Up, it is Eric. His second personal foul.
We have not seen very much from Virginia on the offensive board. That time, however, Montross just lost track of where Burrow was.
On the ground, no shot.
And Phelps that time lost track of Yuri Barnes.
46-35. Carolina leading it by 11. They led by 7 at halftime. George Lynch coming back into the game. And listen to the cheers for Salvadori. He has played big tonight. It was Rodel in the first half, Salvadori in the second half that have keyed the Carolina runs. Burrow, not there.
Again, he's shooting over Montross, and that's going to be tough to get that one to go down. See how Alexander was playing off Phelps, trying to defend the inside. That's still the strategy. There comes help.
That's beyond his range. Smith gets caught.
The foul's going to be called against Corey Alexander. That time, the double team went over. We showed you at halftime that one play in the first half where Montross was able to make the turn and pass the ball. That time the defense came quickly. He wasn't able to make the turn. Forced into that turnaround jumper. It was an air ball. And that's why Derek Phelps was right there. Corey Alexander never had a chance to block him out.
Williams for 3. Well, those three-point opportunities lend themselves to long rebounds. North Carolina taking great advantage of that tonight.
Virginia with pretty good position, just not able to control the rebound, so North Carolina is going to get another crack at it.
Reese in the game. Sullivan sits down.
Look how much room Alexander gives Phelps. Parker giving Reese a lot of room, too.
Lynch rolls free, and it's cleared by Jeffries.
Great block out by Jeffries.
Parker has not been a factor tonight. He'll need to get started. Jeffries follows. Montross clears. Oh, does he ever. 3-on-2. To Reese. It all begins with Montross clearing the rafters, and the Carolina Heels have their largest lead. Parker explodes to the basket, draws the foul for Montross. Next Wednesday, our jam session continues. Seton Hall and Georgetown get it started. Terry DeHare leads the Big East in scoring with over 22 a game. Then to the ACC, the Seminoles against the Heels. Eric Montross will again be on display. And then, noted women's basketball coming up midnight Eastern time, Long Beach State against UNLV. Cornell Parker at the stripe. I think you'd agree he has to be a factor in the remaining 12:43 as Rodel comes in. He's been noticeably absent, Dan, offensively from this Virginia team, and he's the guy that came up big at Cameron Indoor Stadium on Sunday.
Virginia has been struggling offensively, Tim. You can see Parker with 5 points.
He's a slasher. He's a guy that can penetrate and create some things.
Well, it's tough to slash to the basket when you got just a couple of 7-foot guys in there to slash it right back at you.
Montross may have kicked that one, but before he did, Jeffries fouled him.
He just did a great job pinning Jeffries behind him, forcing Jeffries into that foul.
That's 4 fouls on Jeffries.
Montross is going to get down inside, comes from behind Jeffries. Great spin move. Now Jeffries is dead. Reaches from behind, picks up the 4th foul. And that's one of the things the Virginia coaching staff was very concerned about, how they were going to be able to keep Jeffries in the game. Their depth along the front line is very, very shallow. Again, with that small lineup in the game.
That's a walk.
There you see again the tendency of most of the North Carolina perimeter guys. Catch the ball, face the basket, pump fake, then dribble. That time Reese moved his pivot foot before he dribbled.
In fact, perhaps Rodel is the only guy beyond the arc that's willing to just take the shot. But he needs room to get it. 12-point lead with just over 12 minutes to play.
That was a great job by Lynch, slowing the Virginia offense way down.
Alexander's rainbow won't go. Barnes loses it to Reese. He put it on the floor and paid for it. Lynch is fouled by Alexander.
Tim, and again, that's the presence of Eric Montross inside. Alexander gives the ball that little bit more arc, and as a result, he misses it.
They're in the bonus the rest of the way. 17 fouls now committed by Virginia.
Tim, that guy doesn't have a lot of points today. He's well below his average, but Eric Montross has been the focal point of this basketball game, without question. Everything that Virginia has done on defense has been designed to cut off the inside play. And Virginia has been kept out of their inside game because of the presence of the big guy underneath.
Just a great example of Dean Smith making the opposition adjust to his team. How often we say that. One of the reasons he's been so successful through the years. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do it better than anyone else can do it and beat you. Reese was out of bounds.
Of course, it helps that he's got great players doing it. You got to have that combination. You're going to have that kind of success. Certainly have to know what you're doing from a coaching perspective, and you have to have the great players. Great, great tradition here at North Carolina.
Smith comes out of the game. He's been relatively ineffective in the open court. But he'll need to hit some threes before this game is done. Someone from Virginia has got to start shooting lights up. Burrow. Williford loses it.
Montross knocked it away.
Lynch on the other end.
Oh, Lynch, he got a foul that time. I thought he was going to get the ball. He tipped it away. Then Alexander a little too quick. George Lynch with a big grin on his face. He knows he got caught that time, but he came very, very close to getting a fantastic steal.
Came into the game with 35 steals. The king of thievery in the ACC. Gains tempo in the second half.
Virginia stays in the man-to-man defense.
There they go, over the top and down the hole. 8 points for Montross. 51-36, largest lead of the game for North Carolina. Williford's rejected. Fans are standing in anticipation of getting to sing that song a little earlier than normal. My blue heaven, count it. It could be a three-point play.
The tremendous size of North Carolina. Eric Montross gets the big pass. Watch him move across the lane. Now there he is, breaks free. That's a great job. Barnes just doesn't keep him from getting across the lane. I don't know how he'd do it, even if he wanted to. But Montross catches the ball again. Jeffries out of the game with 4 fouls. He's back in there now. Virginia just not big enough inside to compete with this guy.
They present such matchup problems that heretofore, in perhaps the last 7 or 8 years since the 80-14, they really haven't presented. That's the difference. That's why everyone's so high on Carolina this year.
And there's Montross again, getting that big body in there, slapping the ball around. They just can't get anything inside.
Burrow tries to keep it alive and does.
Nice job by Burrow. Pressure from Carolina, though. Virginia backing off. They just can't get anything on the interior. And here comes the trap again.
They really have the Cavaliers' half-court offense out of sync. There it is. Lynch again. Flies through the air. The Cavaliers were a 14-point underdog coming in. Santa Claus was in Vegas, and he didn't even think they could get it done.
It's time now for Buford and Bernice.
Buford.
Yeah?
You yo-yo, you ding-a-ling. First it was gasoline and transmission parts in my kitchen sink. And now you got red spray paint all over the kitchen counters.
Well, I got to keep up with transmission specialists.
You got to keep up with transmission specialists?
Yeah, they got a special on down there for $34.95. But I, Buford the Wonderful, owner of Buford Transmission Auto Lawnmower Motorcycle Repair and Body Shop, have got my own transmission tune-up special, and mine is only $1.62.
Well, for $34.95, transmission specialists will change the fluid, change the filter, adjust the bands if they need it, and put in a brand new pan gasket.
I know all that trash.
Well, just what do you do for $1.62?
Well, see, first of all, I rinse it off real good with my garden hose, and then I paint it red.
That don't do no good.
Makes it pretty.
For all your transmission needs, see the professionals at Transmission Specialists, 600 Decatur Street in Rome.
Sports, ease the winter chill of February on ESPN. February on the ESPN.
North Carolina has really turned up the defensive pressure or turned into offense. You got to stay out of this area right here in the corner. That's where you're most susceptible to the trap. And watch what Virginia is going to do. There goes Parker in the corner. That's a great trap right there. Look at that trap. George Lynch at 6'8". Eric Montross at 7 feet, 270. There's no place to go. You notice nobody from Virginia in the picture. Parker trying to split the trap, but he loses the basketball. Now the transition. George Lynch, a key player in the trap, gets out, runs, gets the easy basket.
Virginia's missed their last 8 shots. Burrow can't end the drop, and Lynch comes away with it. 20-point lead for North Carolina. They've done it with defense, and with Montross being such a factor, Virginia unable to stop anyone else in the second half.
It's been a case, Tim, where I think Virginia has played pretty well on the defensive end of the court, but you're not going to beat North Carolina on that end of the court. You've got to be able to get down and convert the opportunities that you create for yourself.
That's Phelps using the glass. His first deuce of the game. 22-point lead now for North Carolina.
Wade Parker's got the ball over there in the corner again.
Burrow's free, and finally knocks it home. Smith found it.
Nice job getting out of the double team that time.
Phelps. Well, I think he may have looked at the box score and decided he needed to stretch. 61-38.
That's a shot that Virginia's been willing to concede all night long.
Alexander.
Boy, what a great job he does elevating on that jump shot. And you can't help but think, Tim, Virginia's only played 7 guys tonight, that the pace of this game has really worn the Cavaliers down. The defense just doesn't appear to be as intense as it was.
Sullivan fading away. Gets one.
Virginia's only played 7 guys. Jeffries has been in foul trouble.
An unforced Cavalier turnover. You don't need those. They're going to force enough. Jeff Jones realizes it. 15 total turnovers for the Cavaliers. He may be calling off the Dogs now. Sean Wilson's going to come into the game for the first time, and he has not seen much action at all this year. Jeffries needs a blow. Look at that. In the second half, the Cavaliers down to 22%. North Carolina shooting as if they are the #1 team in field goal shooting in this league.
And that's really tied into their defense, Tim. With the defense, they have created great opportunities. And Salvador again, what a cut to the basket, what a catch.
He showed some strength, too, because he had to get beyond Burrow. Smith for 3.
Well, that's a long three-pointer. There's Lynch and Salvador on the boards again. And here comes North Carolina.
It's Williams and Reese. I think they're going for the jugular, don't you?
Great teams go after the jugular, Tim. And North Carolina playing zone. We talked about North Carolina creating their shots. Here's the transition. That's just a perfect pass from Williams to Reese. If you can't score, North Carolina's eventually just going to roll you up.
Lynch is on the loose again. 3-on-2. Reese again. Salvador, he keeps it alive, and Lynch tips it home. 69-40.
How good is this North Carolina team? They are really playing well right now as Alexander hits that. I've been impressed with this Virginia team, Tim. This is a good Virginia team, but North Carolina is outstanding. I really think this is the best North Carolina team that I've seen since 1984 when Kenny Smith was a freshman.
That was the team that went 14-0, you'll recall, in the ACC, eventually got knocked out. Williams. Burrow cleared. Smith. Finally, Smith hits a tray. 69-45, 5.5 left.
It's just a wide open game right now, Tim. Everybody getting it down the court and getting it up. Dean Smith putting his team in an offense.
Yeah, for Jeff Jones now it's just survival and integrity that he has in mind. Move on to the next game. It only counts for 1 loss. Your 16-game win streak will come to an end. But don't be overly dejected. You did get 1 out of 2. You survived a split out of Cameron Indoor Stadium in the Dean Dome.
Tim, it's a Virginia team that defensively and on the backcourt played very well for about 30 minutes of this basketball game, but superior North Carolina size, superior North Carolina depth just wore them down.
Let's not forget, this is a North Carolina team that's a buzzer tipping away from being unbeaten and #1 in the country. And there's no doubt they would be #1.
Oh, there's not any question about that.
I mean, you've got 6 teams when you think about it. 6 teams that are an elite category that you can mix and match at #1 week in and week out. In talking with Jeff Jones today, he said, yeah, I don't know if we're top 10, but I know this. If we are #7, we represent the cutoff point between those 6 teams and the rest of the teams in the top 20.
I think that's a fair assessment. As you look at this North Carolina team, though, Tim, consider where they've gotten their contributions from tonight. They haven't had a big offensive game from Phelps. They haven't had a big offensive game from Montross. Lynch hasn't had necessarily a big offensive game, but you've had players like Rodel stepping up, playing very, very well. Salvador has had a great basketball game. They have so many weapons that they can use.
They've rattled the Virginia offense in the second half. Rodel.
He had
3 3-pointers in the first half to lead North Carolina.
That just shoots your scouting report all to pieces to say, okay, we're going to play inside tough. If this guy beats us, then we get beat. Well, I'll tell you what, he loosened up that defense with that jumper. Now we get a foul inside. Virginia tries to keep up the defensive pressure.
Kevin Salvadori now on the bench enjoying himself, and why not? He was productive in the paint area. North Carolina as a team, 24 points coming in the second half. You can credit Rodel for loosening it up for the guys like Salvadori and Montross.
We talked about what a great defensive job Virginia did against the interior in the first half, but Salvadori, 6 in the first half, 6 in the second half, and Montross, 9 in the second half. Lynch with 6 in the second half. They've been able to punch the ball inside very effectively. I think that's just the process of wearing down the smaller Virginia Cavaliers.
Henrik Rodel really starting on this club because of his maturity. That's his #1 asset for Dean Smith. During the course of the year, Donald Williams may log more playing time and certainly presents more athletic capability on the perimeter. Matt Winstrom coming into the game for the first time. Listen to the cheers for Montross.
Well, as I said before, Tim, it hasn't been his biggest offensive game, but he has been the focal point in this basketball game.
Havlicek, his first shot. Barely drew the backboard. Chris Havlicek in the game along with Sean Wilson from Virginia. Smith, Barnes, and Williford on the floor for Jeff Jones late in the game. Just over 4 minutes left. It's been over for about the last 7 minutes. Carolina's run with 11 minutes left really put it out of reach. Dante Calabria coming back into the game, and Derek Phelps runs the show for Dean Smith. 7 points tonight. But boy, did he dish him out.
And he did a tremendous defensive job against Corey Alexander. Alexander's the guy that starts everything for that Virginia offense, and Phelps was in his shirt all night.
Salvadori draws the foul from Wilson. Phelps had 5 assists tonight.
I think the story for Phelps tonight is the defensive pressure that he was able to exert.
Leading contender for the Henry Ivo Award is the nation's best defensive player. They're touting him for that here. Corey Alexander felt the wrath of Phelps tonight. He's only 9 over his season average. Everything going Carolina's way tonight. If they're number 3, they're number 3 with a bullet.
Something to drink, sir?
Yeah, make it a Bud Light.
Sorry, we just ran out.
Oh. Excuse me.
Bud Light? Try Flight 261 out of L.A.
Oh, thank you.
If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Do you have a Bud Light?
Yes. Welcome aboard, sir.
Great. Where are we going?
When you buy a 1993 Toyota 4Runner with an extra value option package, you might say you get even more than you bargained for. The power door locks and air conditioning alone make it a really cool deal.
Come here, quick.
Plus, you get carpeted floor mats.
Let's go around.
Power side mirrors, power windows, and of course, cruise control. All this and more, and you save $1,000 too. So why not drop in yourself and check it out?
If she had a fever, you wouldn't wait a week to see the doctor. If she were hungry, you wouldn't wait a few days to feed her. So why wait even a day to fix the brakes on the car you drive her around in? At Midas, we don't just fix your brakes right. We can fix them right the very same day you bring in your car. Think about it. Midas, because your brakes can't wait.
North Carolina blowing away number 7 Virginia. 3:50 remaining. The man for whom this building was named for is chasing some other buildings that have been named for coaches. They're the legends. Conventional wisdom indicates that he'll hang around as long as Adolph Rupp has 875. He can have as many as he wants. 22 straight seasons with 20-plus wins. That's an NCAA record. Remarkable career for the maestro, Dean Smith. Wilson gets loose. Gets his first deuce.
Very few times in this half has Virginia been able to get the ball that close to the basket and score.
74-47. Oh, Sullivan, he walked. Took steps, but again, you have to admire the look. Another nice pass. Really doesn't matter who's in. The system continues keeping on under that man.
Dean Smith getting some practice yelling at the referees. Yeah, I think, you know, you just can't leave it go. You're up 27 points, but you don't want to let up.
Williford draws the foul from Salvadori. More cheers are coming. Scott Cherry coming into the game. Ed Gett, freshman from Norfolk.
North Carolina.
Listen to the cheers for Salvadori.
Great ball game tonight by Salvadori, and he's a perfect example as he sits down with 14 points of the kinds of matchup problems that North Carolina presents for any team. You know, when you get ready to play North Carolina, you can try to create that double-team pressure. You might be able to practice with 6 or 7 defensive guys to create the kind of atmosphere that they create. But there's no way that you can duplicate in a practice situation the kind of quality size that North Carolina possesses. It's just something that you have to play against. Not always successful.
Another foul inside as they took away the inbounds pass. Havlicek active defensively that time. Couldn't help thinking of Jeff Jones's plight. His team is number 7 outside of perhaps Arkansas. The surprising.
You know, if you're number 7, how's that a plight?
No, but he's got to come back with a team that's been, I mean, let's face it. Your integrity's hurt a little bit if you're a Virginia player. You've been bombed in this game, and you were talking about credibility. They were concerned that Duke overlooked them by scheduling Iowa. The doubting Thomas, they were a 14-point underdog despite the win at Cameron Indoor. Now he's got to get their confidence back, although he realizes they've done an outstanding job to this point.
Tim, I think the main thing that will concern the Virginia Cavaliers after this game is they've got Georgia Tech at home on Saturday. And if Virginia's going to contend in the league, that's a game they have to have.
Sports Center coming up immediately following our game. Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick. The NBA fining Barkley. Latest on Dan Reeves. Arkansas and Vanderbilt. I mentioned Arkansas. Outside of Arkansas, Virginia perhaps the most surprising team in the country this year.
And I think this game has been a much closer game than the final score is going to indicate. North Carolina with that tremendous spurt with 11 minutes left in the game really blows it open, but Virginia was in the game right up until then, and they're not the only team that's going to come in here and get whacked by North Carolina.
So your feeling is that's what Jeff Jones will pass along to his team. Don't worry about the final outcome score-wise.
I don't think there's any question about it. There's a lot of positives, particularly on the defensive end of the court, to which Virginia can point in this game. They just didn't get the ball to go in the basket, and you knew coming in that if they had a problem, it was shooting the basketball.
No problem shooting for those guys tonight.
And one of the reasons there isn't, Tim, that team creates so many good opportunities. You talk about shot selection. With North Carolina, it's really shot creation. They use their defense. They use their defensive rebounding to create so many good opportunities. And they've got the kind of players that can finish off on those opportunities.
Havlicek can't find it. Winstrom clears it for North Carolina. Gets in the paint.
Oh, sweeping hook shot.
76-51. Smith gets one. A leaner. Coming up tomorrow, Dan and I will stay in the ACC. North Carolina State takes on number 6 Duke. Grant Hill leading Duke with 19 points per game. And Memphis State is led by Anthony Hardaway. arguably the most complete player in the country, against the Missouri Tigers. Then San Diego State, the Aztecs, take on BYU. Gary Trost leads BYU in scoring 54% from the floor. All of that coming up wall to wall on ESPN. Scott Cherry at the strike.
Tim, we were talking about the Virginia perspective, and from the Virginia perspective, you're going to leave here 4-1 in the ACC, in second place in the league, and you've lost at North Carolina. Certainly, most people who come in here are going to lose. So the question is how they're going to bounce back, and that's something that Jeff Jones talked to his team about after their victory over Duke. One game at this point in the season isn't going to make or break your season, because you've always got another one coming up, and it's going to be against some pretty tough competition. Alexander with a nice rebound there.
Barnes. That's a charge. Player control foul as Winstrom is once again in position to pick it up.
And even with the subs in the game, very impressive interior defense by the University of North Carolina.
Travis Stevenson coming in, number 35 in white. Don't forget, Sports Center to follow. Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick will have these stories and more coming your way. Don't be surprised if the guys from Memorial Gym with Billy McCaffrey and Lawson down low don't come up with a win in that game. We have been updating it, and they did have the lead during the course of our ball game tonight. Davis. Winstrom follows. You can make a great case in point that Mike Krzyzewski would love to have Billy McCaffrey on his team this year with Christian Laettner gone from the Duke perimeter.
Well, you could make that case, but Mike Krzyzewski's not a guy who would make a case like that. He deals with what he has. He's one of the best people that you ever hear talk. He never talks in what ifs. He talks in what's real. He's not a guy to what if you. There's Smith with the three-pointer.
What ifs are for announcers when the game is 30 points or more. We'll be looking to Coach K tomorrow. Looking at Salvadori there on the bench. Now, here's a player that from the time he was a freshman in high school, perhaps rose from Division II to maybe getting a scholarship, maybe not at a Division I level, to being a solid contributor for one of the nation's premier programs. Salvadori and Rodel, unsung stars tonight for Dean Smith's team. Yeah, some of them are blue chippers. Some of them are overachievers. Salvadori, from the time he was in high school, has overachieved his way right here to North Carolina.
And for Dean Smith, 3 of them are 7 feet tall. That always helps.
Davis at the end can't come up with it.
Win
755 career wins for that man after tonight's game.
And counting.
Yeah. Even the last shot is contested. They will count the basket. Dean Smith gets the W. Number 3 is rolling. Number 7 takes its first loss. The end of the longest win streak in Division I. Virginia stops at 16. For Dan Bonner, Tim Brando saying so long from Chapel Hill.
Everybody wants one.
Ward is used to being pulled in many directions. As student body vice president, he maintains a B average. But how good could Ward be if he focused on just one sport?
If I really practice at one sport, long enough, I think I'll be great. But since I play 2 sports, I'm pretty much average.
Average? No. Ward will be a 93 Heisman frontrunner and from head to foot might be the best overall athlete in the country. Now, if only those feet will hold up, they could make the Seminoles' spring as rewarding as their fall.
After next year, he wants to go to the NFL Combine and play in one of those basketball All-Star games. He talks like a football guy, doesn't he?
Well, he talks about reps and
playing with pain.
I want to clue him in, though. You're pretty much, like great right now.
You like that quickness, though? I got down to Tallahassee.
You
For me,
I
mean, back here.
I've seen some speed, but change your clothes, too.
Derek Phelps, a good matchup against a point guard that's playing very well for Carolina tonight. That coming up in just a couple of minutes when we continue. In the meantime, as we break, some more scores from tonight. Tennessee Chattanooga, 10-point winner. George Lynch, a monster game Sunday against Seton Hall, and the Tar Heels taking on the Seminoles in a couple minutes from the Dean Dome.
Start saving $300 a month when you're 23, and you could retire a millionaire. Start at 30, and you might reach 600,000. At 40, about 200,000. Which is why you need Prudential's Financial Assessment Program. A personalized computer analysis of where you are, where you want to go, and how we can help. Because nobody plans to fail. They just fail to plan. Call Prudential Insurance now.
Everybody knows U.S. Air. Not everybody knows Konica. Why you get on board with U.S. Air? Why U.S. Air is on board with Konica. So if you know this company, you should know this company. Because Konica has earned its wings from U.S. Air. This is Reader's Digest. This is Konica. Why you turn to Reader's Digest. Why Reader's Digest turns to Konica. So if you know this company, you should know this company. Because Konica contributes to Reader's Digest.
Serious times demand serious men.
Hard work is the reward for hard work.
Tenacity, gumption, discipline.
Sometimes you've got to stop and smell the pizza.
A four-star night of top-ranked boxing. Carbajal, Olsen, Morrison, and De La Hoya. All on Top Rank Boxing. Super Bowl Sunday on ESPN.
We can update a couple of scores now. Cincinnati, trying to prolong the nation's longest winning streak, has surged ahead of Xavier, a 7-point lead at halftime for the Bearcats. And in the Big East, Syracuse continues to lead Pittsburgh, which is trying to hold on to first place in the Big East. A 6-point game after 20 minutes. We'll continue to update you. Jim Valvano will rejoin me at halftime. But up next, it's off to the Dean Dome. The Tar Heels and the Seminoles. Should be a great first half. Like Patrick and Nick Vitale have it for you.
The only blemish on North Carolina's record this year came against highly regarded Michigan. A last-second shot misses, but Jalen Rose gets the tip in. And Michigan wins it 79-78, the Tar Heels' only loss of the season. They come in tonight 16-1, number 3 in the country, 5-0 in the ACC. Duke losing to Florida State, the Seminoles' biggest win of the year on Sunday. Sam Cassell to Byron Wells, the 3 in overtime to win it, their biggest victory in 21 years. So at 13-5, they come into Chapel Hill tonight, 5-1 in the ACC, number 2 in the conference, and number 19.